less than a year after Hurricane Florence battered the Carolinas. Powerful storm taking aim at the Carolina coast before moving inland and dropping almost 2 feet of rain.
This is something that we have not seen before.
Trees toppled, roads washed away, entire neighborhoods underwater. Tonight, we look at the recovery efforts, what's in store this season, and the high-tech tools that experts are using to predict and understand these devastating storms. Good evening and welcome to the North Carolina coast and beautiful Wrightsville Beach. I'm NBC Charlotte Chief Meteorologist Brad Panovich. Plus, meteorologist Chris Mulcahy takes you inside the winds of a hurricane, literally using the Aerodyne wind tunnel. Chris shows us what it's like to experience a Category 1, 2, and 3 hurricane, and the storm that all Carolina storms are compared to, Hugo. 2019 marks 30 years since the Category 4 hit Charleston. But the devastation felt across all of the Carolinas is still around. We'll take a look back at Hugo then and now and how it's changed how we treat hurricanes. And we've got the whole First Warn Weather and NBC Charlotte news teams working hard to keep your family safe in case a storm comes. 30 years ago this fall, Hurricane Hugo set its sights on the Carolinas. It made landfall near Charleston as a Category 4 storm devastating the South Carolina coast. But as we know, the destruction didn't stop there. The storm kept its strength all the way inland. That includes the Charlotte area, where Hugo maintained Category 1 strength. The damage was nothing short of catastrophic. The day it hit, many of you turned to NBC Charlotte and Larry Sprinkle to find out the latest on Hugo. Now he's going to give you a look back at that storm that all storms are compared to.
September 1989. I remember it well, as does anyone else in the Carolinas who lived through Hurricane Hugo. That morning, we started seeing landfall in Charleston, near Charleston. We started to see that storm system moving farther inland. And we're looking at it on satellite going, this thing is now south of Charlotte. Hugo was a fast-moving hurricane. And by the time it hit uptown Charlotte, it was still close to a Category 1. With sustained winds nearly 70 miles per hour. To this day, Hugo ranks in the top 3 worst hurricanes to hit the United States, according to the Hurricane Severity Index. Boats were tossed, buildings destroyed, and the power was out for days, if not weeks. So I'm on the air talking about what's happening, and at some point I could hear over to the left-hand side of me some noises. All of a sudden there's this boom to my left. I looked over and I could see out of the corner of my eye, I could see that the ceiling had caved in.
Gust up to about 100 miles an hour, Shaw Air Force Base. I've been distracted because as a lot of people are experiencing, part of our ceiling just collapsed in here. This is a very serious system that is going through Charlotte.
And then I went, Rick Jackson, our news anchor, said, Rick, back to you. And so Rick says, Larry said the ceiling's caved in. Larry, let me ask you, Larry? And at that point, I was on my hands and knees as fast as I could crawl out of that studio. And he's going, Larry, we'll get back to Larry in just a few minutes. This huge transmission line that was connected to our tower, about a 1,000-pound cable, snapped off, hit the roof, and pushed that into the ceiling of the studio, and it caved in right there in front of me. I really thought I was going to be the first weatherman to die in the act.